The revelations now televised. A platform for you and I. An outlook with full heart and clear eyes. Now, these are just my thoughts. Truth on how I feel on these topics I reveal. Please know my toll, I always keep it real. Can't face the word if you can't face facts. For your time, just open up your mind. That's it, just live, think big, now take that. With God in me, this here was made by design. Yeah, the revelation will be televised. REVELSations.
What's up, people, and welcome back to the REVELSations podcast. You're about to listen to part 2 of the 2-part series I had with my friend Katie on the Get to Know Rev. Honestly, it's just one video, but it's so long that we had to split it into 2 parts. Hopefully you had a happy holiday as we just came off the Christmas 2023 season. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. If you're on YouTube, share this with somebody, hit the like button, thumbs up, drop a comment. But let's get into it. Part 2 of the Getting to Know Rev series on the REVELSations podcast. I'll see you guys later. Peace.
All right. You're no longer king for a day. This is the one area, I think you're going to probably be able to answer or complete my sentence here. This is the one area where you are most frequently the police. It's the Oxford English Dictionary, first edition.
Oh,
police.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So where did the word obsession come from, and what does that mean? And tell me all the things.
You can now see, this is something that I'm doing that you don't even see. I'm rubbing my legs because
I can see you.
I'm having a reaction. You cannot change the definition of words. That is not okay. It is not okay. It is not okay. It is not okay. That is not how language works. If you want to change the definition of a word, create a new word. You can, because we've all agreed that these are what the words mean. So when I'm communicating with you, person, not you, Katie, but person, and you change the definition of the word, and then you expect me to know what you meant by your particular definition of the word, I cannot. And now we have miscommunicated, and I'm very annoyed at miscommunicating. And when I use the word, I'm using the word as Merriam-Webster or Oxford says the word is meant to be used. You should do the same. Why? Because that is the word. And you cannot go back and say, well, I think the word means this. No, the only person that can do that is the creator of the word. Nothing can ever mean now what it never meant in its origination unless the person who originated the word allows you to change it. And guess what? They're all dead. So therefore, do not change the definition of words. Do not do that. It's annoying. Did I even answer your question? Like, I don't know.
Where did that come from, and how long have you been that way?
It's come from miscommunication, and I think that miscommunication is one of the biggest reasons that relationships fall apart. And I don't mean just romantic relationships. I mean relationships in general. And I think that if we could understand each other better, and we could understand each other better if we all agreed on what the words mean, then it would be okay. When did the obsession come about? I think it's always been there. I just think in my later life, I've been able to articulate the frustration a little bit more. So yeah, stop going out here and changing the definition of words to mean what you want them to mean. Like somebody the other day, and we're not going to get into this topic, hopefully. Somebody called me a cisgender the other day, and I was very offended. And I was just like, no, I'm just a man. Right. And what I mean is there's so much changing and things of that nature. And I don't want to participate in the changing of words. I don't want to participate in a word mean. And I can't even really think of another example, but I don't want to. So let's take phone, for example. I don't want somebody to change it to mean something else. Like it just means phone, man. Like if you want this to mean something else, create a new word. Because at one point, none of these words existed. Somebody had to create them. So it's not like land. There's no more land, right? See, here's the analogy. Like I'm always good for analogy. There's no more land. Like we can't make more land. So I get it. So we have to do different things with the land. This was once a mall and now it's a parking lot, or it was once a house and now it's a football field. Okay. But words, they're just sounds. It's just we never run out of sound. Like you can just make up sound and put them together. So stop changing the definition of words. I'm annoyed.
Yes. Yep. All right. So you're a kid grew up in Alton, Illinois, Champaign,
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah.
The Cardinals were still in St. Louis before they moved to Arizona.
Yep.
How did you become a Philadelphia Eagles fan? I think anybody who's listened to this podcast, the Black
Yes.
Minds Matter podcast, they all know you're an Eagles fan. So how, yep, fly Eagles fly.
Fly Eagles
How
fly.
did you become an Eagles fan?
Well, okay, so we moved from Alton, Illinois to Champaign, Illinois in 1987. We immediately moved back to Alton, and then we came back in 1989. Around 1990, I believe I was a 9-year-old kid, born in 1981, of course, and it's going to sound a little self-pathetic, but sports are my friend. They're like I know. It sounds so bad. It sounds like a terrible thing, but when I think about it, it's true. You know, they're always there for me when I need them, except during COVID. Like I struggled during COVID with no sports. It was bad. But sports are my friend, and I was looking around the NFL, and heroes that look like you matter, and I'm not trying to make this super race related, but I think that's hard for white people to understand that it matters because most of the heroes look like you all. They just do, right? Superman's just a white dude, and Batman's a white dude, and Iron Man and so on and so forth. These are white guys. So when I'm watching football, there was a player. His name was Randall Cunningham, and he was a bad mamma jamma. This dude was cold. He was, and back in the day, they didn't have a lot of black quarterbacks. When I was growing up, it was pretty much him and Warren Moon. Well, one particular day, the Saints and the Eagles were playing on TV, and they played the game, and I fell in love with the green, and it's been rough. Okay, it's been a lot of down. It's been a lot of lean years. Here lately, it's turned around. But I've been a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles ever since I was 9 years old. So there you go. Fly Eagles fly till the day I die. Here it is.
And now you're in Medellin, Colombia.
Yes.
And not attending, as far as I know, a game this year. Is this the first year?
I did not go last year. No, I didn't go last year. I went the year before. I might go this year. The problem is the schedule isn't falling correctly on days that I can take off, and then when it does, they're going to cold cities, and just no. It's not doing that again. You and I did that. We're not doing that again. That's silly. So yeah, I love going to games. It's fun. But you know me, when I go to games, people think it's for the social event. I am there for the game. I don't want to talk. I want to watch the game. I want to actually see it. So, but yeah, the Eagles are great. And it's okay. Technology is amazing. I'm available to everybody that needs me, except 3 hours a week. So there you go. Don't call me. Don't text me. I don't exist. Whatever you run into, whatever you're doing, whatever you need while the Eagles are playing, however you would fulfill that need. If I were dead, do that. There it is.
Yes, anybody who knows is well aware of that.
Yes, I wouldn't answer the phone when mama called me. Seriously.
Yep.
Because if you call me, that means you're alive. You're fine. Great. And if you're dead, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. I'll check on you in 3 hours.
Yeah, we've also already established that nobody should ever call you, ever.
You know what? That is so true. I agree. Don't call me. Text me. Thanks.
All right. So obviously everybody knows you're an Eagles fan. And also I think anybody who's listened to you for any period of time understands that you are a LeBron fan. Yeah.
Yes.
It's very cool.
Yes. With Run the Jewels, by the way. Favorite rap group.
I know.
Yes. LeBron.
LeBron. So you're a LeBron fan.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you is 20, 25 years from now, somebody starts breaking LeBron's records over and over again. Are you going to be able to say that somebody else is the GOAT?
Yes. It's easy for me. And I can say this. I can say why. Because though Randall Cunningham he the one that made me really like the Eagles, I really fell in super love with the Eagles when Donovan McNabb was playing. And Jalen Hurts is better than him. But Donovan McNabb is my hero. He's my favorite player of all time, right? So it's the same thing with Jordan. I'm an Illinois kid. Jordan was the greatest of all time, but I'm also objective. My eyes work. To me, and I don't really get into the Jordan-LeBron debate a lot because to me, LeBron's a better player, but that's only because the way I watch basketball, how I view greatness in basketball, LeBron does it better than Jordan. It doesn't mean that Jordan wasn't great. So if somebody comes along and they do it better than LeBron, I don't think I would have a problem with saying that he's better than LeBron, because just because he's better doesn't mean that that player will be my favorite. Take the Bulls, for example. Scottie Pippen was my favorite player. Michael Jordan was a better player. No problem.
Yeah. We'll hold you to that. We'll see if it happens, and then we'll hold you
Yes.
to it.
Yes. It won't happen, though. LeBron's the greatest.
Shifting gears a little bit, you've had a lot of different jobs in the time that I've known you. You've done, I certainly met you working grounds. You've done project management. You've done coaching. You've done athletic administration. You've done teaching. You've done sales. Why? And you're a history major as an undergrad. So why education? How did you get into education? It's been this common thread for as long as I've known you, and really for many years before that. But why education, and why your PhD in education?
Yeah. So I hated school. I was a kid that I hated going. School was terrible. It was awful. I just wanted to play basketball, watch the Eagles throw the football around. I always knew that I wasn't going to be a professional athlete, but that didn't mean I wasn't going to go out there and try. So I hated school. But I think people are a purpose for things, and education is my purpose. Some days I don't like it, but when I said earlier that I'm not talented, I know I'm talented in that. I never doubt myself as an educator. I got this because it's who I am. Like, it's what it is me. It is. Yeah. So education is what I'm purpose for, and education is more than just learning 2 + 2 is 4. I tell my students now that math class, even though I teach history, math class is not math class, it's problem solving class. They give you a problem, you have to solve it. That's called life. It's called life class. You're gonna have a lot of problems. You need to figure out how to solve it. You don't like it, but you need to figure out how to solve it as well. So I just think that I am in love with the educational process, the philosophy, the school of education, if you will. Not necessarily teaching. Don't like it. Not gonna lie. I do like education as a thing. I hope that makes sense. I mean, not that it makes sense to you, but because we've had these type of conversation before, but yeah, just education as a thing. I love education because education is something that opens the world to us, and we can be in one city, but the world can be opened if our mind is. So that's why.
It's a great transition into opening your mind to the rest of the world.
Yes.
You now live in Columbia. Again, Illinois kid moving to Austin and then moving to Columbia.
Yes.
How has that changed your perspective on the world and on education, living and working in a different country?
Well, if you haven't noticed, I keep trying to move closer and closer to the equator. I don't like being cold. So let's just first get that. Let's just get that established. Okay. Just know. Haven't seen snow. Well, no, I saw snow in 2022 because Pops, decided to check out. I had to go see about my man. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have seen snow in several years. Thanks, Dad. All the way up there from heaven. But so it's changed my perspective from this. And, I can't do anything but say it how it is. The American brainwashing, that the indoctrination, if you will, that happens in a country. And it's not just in America. I'm in another country where people are indoctrinated as well, right? And it's just a opening that people can live different and they're okay, right? And to see it, we know it conceptually, but to actually see it function. Now, there's some great things about the United States. See, the United States allowed me to be as impatient as I wanted to be, and I was okay. Here, praise God, you will not be impatient and be happy. Those two things cannot exist in the same body. So I'm actually a little bit more patient. So that's one of the differences, but it has opened my mind to a difference in cultures, a difference in way of life, and difference in perspective. One of the things that people do here that I find very strange, and it's very different from the United States. I thought I was an affectionate person. You know me, I like hugs. Compared to a Colombian, I'm not. These people touch each other all the time. No, not some of the time, all the time. boys touching boys, and it's not sexualized. It's just, this is how we show our love. And it's so cool to see. I don't want to participate in that. Please don't touch me. But it's cool to see other people functioning in their element. And it really does open your mind to people can live and be happy outside of the structures that your home country builds and says you should be happy with. So yeah, it's been a great experience. I wouldn't change it for the world.
And when you made that decision, I think really to move to Columbia, as well as the decision to move to Austin, and I think just decisions in your career that you've made, you are incredibly decisive. And I think you're incredibly decisive in life as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Have you always been that way? Were you like that as a child?
Yes. And you'll know this, and the audience should know this as well. When I sort of plan things, like I can plan my life, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna be all that. But when I plan monumental events, they never work. All of these things just happen out of the blue. Like they just happen. So I visited Austin, and 2 weeks later I moved to Austin. I visited Columbia, and 3 months later I moved to Columbia. Like that is just that's sort of just how things happen. And it's not necessarily on a whim. I think it's ordained. And when it can be ordained, that means it is purpose. I believe it's easy to be decisive. This is what you're supposed to do. Okay, cool. And a part of going all the way back to what you said about the discipline, I am super obedient. In some ways I'm not. Like I don't want to sit up here and say I'm holier than thou, but when I get a directive, I am very obedient to doing okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm just going to go and do it. So that's where the decisiveness comes in. I believe that God was like, yep, this is where you're supposed to be for a reason, for a purpose. Okay, cool. I'll do it. Fine. No big deal. Let's make it happen.
It's a great transition into faith. Obviously, faith is something that's very important to you. And I think you've talked about that for some time. If this is for me, it's for me. And if it's not, it's not. And you talked already about a memory from church with your mom.
Mama, she was gonna I'm telling you, beat the skin off me that day. I'm so happy. Thank you, God. This time I knew God was real. God was revealed to me as real as about 11 years old. I've never doubted him since. Thank you, Lord.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, what is the earliest memory you have of faith? Not of church, but of faith.
To be honest, that's hard. When did I get faith for myself? It was in my teenage years, but I can't remember when. I don't think there was an event that happened. I think it was just sort of a realization. If you like, it was more revealed. It was just like, okay. And I know God for myself. So the thing about me is, you can actually talk to me for a while, depending on the subject, and not know that I'm like a God following disciple of Christ, because I'm not what people would typically view as like the stereotypical Christian guy. No, like you don't have to. Like, no, you can still live in this world and like it, and you can participate in things that you want to. And I don't necessarily judge people for it. And I've always been that way, but I don't necessarily know, like I can't pinpoint and say, this is when I first had faith. I can tell you when things have happened to me, like my mom, like the people coming over the house for the meal. Nobody can tell me that wasn't God, but I don't know if that was a first encounter, right? Sadly, on the day on the beach with Rob, we got caught in the same wave. I made it, he didn't. That was God, and it wasn't God favoring me. It was time for Rob to go home, and I still had more to do. And I can see God in those moments, but I can't necessarily pinpoint when faith was like established for me.
Yeah. Well, you just talked about Rob again. You've lost a lot of people over the years, over recent years, a lot of people very tragically, and not just some people in your life, but like close people.
Yeah.
So that it's enough that, I mean, even one of those would be enough to test anyone's faith and make them question God and God's plan. What is it that keeps you connected to your faith? How do you still keep the faith in these moments?
Oh no, well, see what Satan means for evil, God means for good. And I'm not saying that like Satan didn't kill these people. Because sin entered the world, entered the world. So we wouldn't die if it wasn't for like sin entering the world. But I'm not going to say like Satan killed my brother, Satan killed my mom. But Satan did mean sin to permeate the world for evil. So sin is death. The wages of sin is death. And when we die because of sin. I'm not saying sin is what like my brother didn't sin and he died. Death is in the world because of sin. Follow me for a second. Well, Satan meant sin for evil, but God can fashion it for good. So every time somebody passes, I get closer to God. Now, I don't need to be any closer to God than I am. Meaning, I don't need anybody else to die. I'm gonna need y'all to hold on to life. Please, I am tired of going through it. Quick story about yesterday. I always wear these chains for you all to see. There's this chain here. I'll talk about it in a minute. And then this chain. I wear these two things. This chain here is a representation. For those of you on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, you should go to it because it's pretty cool. But this chain represents my mother. It has some ashes in it. And this was my father's, or my dad's before he died. So this is a representation of my mom and my dad. Okay, so my mom's ashes are in here. And then this is a lion. And you see his eyes are like that, even though you said it creeps you out, it's fine. But this is a representation of my brother because my brother loved lions, and I wear these. And the other day, somebody came up to me at work and he was like, "Hey, what's that on your neck? Is that a dog whistle?" Because it sort of looks like a dog whistle. And I was like, "Nope, that's my mom." And he was like, what about the other one? I was like, "Oh, that's a representation of my brother. He's dead too." And I made a joke about it. And he was like, "I'm just gonna stop asking you things." And I was like, "Exactly. Mind your business." But on a more serious note, like having something that you can hold on to, and knowing that though death is final on this earth, if you believe that there is something greater than life, then that helps. And that's where that faith comes in, that I believe death is the transition. I am tired of people transitioning. Please stop doing that. Transitioning. And it's faith. And the thing that I actually, I'll be honest with you, the thing that I worry about most, and this is going to sound weird, is it's not anybody else in my family passing away. That's actually not what scares me. You know what scares me? And I don't mean to scare you, Katie. What scares me is my friends that still have their parents and my friends that still have their siblings. I know what's coming, and I do not wish that, because I don't wish it on anybody, because we're all going to go through it. And I'm telling you, it is the worst thing you will go through. And I can say I've been through it, so I got some practice. But for those of you who do not have practice, I am so scared for you, because I know the ripping of your heart that's going to happen. And there's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can do. It's going to make it better. You just have to ride it out and live with it. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's something you've had to experience that people don't typically experience until way later in life.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not a parent or a sibling, it's just, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. A lot going on.
All right. Going back to when you were younger, you've talked about in the past your experience with Upward Bound. And just in case there are folks who weren't involved in Upward Bound, or that's not a thing where they are, if you can talk a little bit about Upward Bound is, what that is. But then I want to know, what do you think that kid would say to you now? That
oh wow,
Upward Bound. What do you think he'd say to you now?
Okay, so Upward Bound is a college prep academy. I don't even know if the U of I still has it. They might, but it was around when I was there. And you would basically, in high school, over the summer, you would go and live on campus, and you would go to classes at the University of Illinois. And it was an exposure to kids whose parents didn't go to college. They went to school, but they didn't go to college. And it was giving, and all of us were Black, it was giving Black kids an opportunity to see universities, see colleges, see what it's like. They were taking us on tours to different colleges and universities, not only in Illinois, but different parts of the country. And it was exposure. And I'm telling you, if you can expose a child to something, that will open their mind. Remember, I was talking about they can be in one city and they're exposed and they can, basically have knowledge of the world. That's what it is. It's exposure. So I hold those experiences in a way that like they're so valuable to me. And I love it. And if me and that 13-year-old Rev could talk, I would say, I know it sucks sometimes, but it's all going to be better later on. It's going to be greater later. You got to go through it now because this is going to open your mind to different things. And without Upper Bound and without that exposure, because dad and mom didn't go to college. Mama worked at the college, but then working at it and being a student at it are different things. I didn't have friends whose parents went to college either. And I didn't have older siblings that went either. So nobody could tell me about it. So I had to go experience it for myself, and experiencing it for myself has helped me realize that one, I can do it, right? Because a lot of times it's hard to be what you can't see. And it's hard to be what you've never seen somebody else do. So I didn't know if I can do it. I mean, I'm 10. I can't go to college, like, because nobody else is going to college. So how do I go? What is college? What is it like? And this program really helped open my mind to it. And it is invaluable to me. I love it. It was a great experience. That is one of the experiences that I would not change. There are some things about my life that I would change. Upper Bound is not one of them. I would go back and do it again.
So you answered the question, what would you say to that kid? What do you think that kid would say to you? Seeing you now, what do you think he would say to you?
He wouldn't believe that I'm him. He would not believe that I'm him. He would say, that's not true. You can't do that. We can't do that. Like that makes sense. Like because it would be,
yeah.
We can't go to college for real. We can't go and get a master's for real. We can't be, October 25th. We can't be 7 weeks away from finishing your classes for a doctorate. We can't do that. And I would say, yes, you can, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be rough. It's going to be hard. It's going to take you longer. But it doesn't mean that you're less talented. It just means that you have to blaze the path and you don't know the path. So you're going to take some wrong turns, but that's okay. You'll get there. So yeah, it would be I would have to pour into him and give him the confidence because he wouldn't believe it. He wouldn't believe it. He wouldn't believe me.
Yep. All right. So flipping that a little bit now, what do you want your 80-year-old self to say to this version of you today?
If you keep going, it'll work out. Because there's some time I want to give up. I don't think it's worth it. But I think the 80-year-old me will look back and say, yes. See, my life runs at a later on a later track. I do everything later than everybody else. All the way back to puberty. I hit puberty later than everybody else. I grew later than everybody else. In a good way. That's why I'm not saying I'm the most handsome person in the world, but I am saying I don't look my age. Like nobody looks at me and be like, you look like a 42-year-old man. Like that doesn't happen. But I just think that everything happens later. And I'm not where I want to be, but it'll come. And the only reason I say it'll come is because if I look at my history, it just comes late. It just does. But sometimes in the fact that it comes late, you want to quit. Like I'm a human being, right? Like I just want to. Is it worth it? I want to give up. And the 80-year-old, I just want the 80-year-old to look back and just tell me he's proud of me, proud of the work. And not to be too mushy, but to not have a dad to say that to me anymore, that's hard. So when you say the 80-year-old me, this is going to sound weird. I almost look at the 80-year-old me as a father to the 42-year-old me.
Yep. Do you picture him as Greg or Mac?
No, the 80-year-old me is me. Like it's
okay.
Me. No, it's me. It's me. But because even
Are you gray yet? Are you gray yet at 80?
No, I'm still what you talking about? I'm 80, but I look 60. What's up? I can still shake the tail feather. So, but no, on a more serious note, my biological father's still alive, and my stepdad, and And though my stepdad was very encouraging and is probably the most encouraging man that I've ever met in my life for me. And that's saying a lot because I have some great men in my life, Uncle Phil, Uncle Tim, Mr. Claiborne, Mr. Woods, God rest his soul. I've had some great men in my life, but the most encouraging man was my stepdad. And he encouraged me, but he couldn't relate. He was just a hardworking man. Like he worked at a factory. He worked hard. But the education part, I couldn't talk to him about my study. That was not going to resonate with him, or he resonated with it. I know you taught me that before, but I can't remember. But it was not going to jive with him. But he was still so encouraging. And I would love for the 80-year-old to pour into me and just encourage me and give me some nuggets of wisdom as I continue to live this life without a father figure, I should say, that is giving me advice on how to be 45, how to be 50, how to be 60, how to be 70. Yeah.
Yep. All right, getting into some more fun and lighthearted questions.
Okay.
This is one coming from social media. I have two coming from social media,
which I don't have, right? So
I know, but yeah,
yes.
No. So that's why we're going to ask them here in this format instead of on social media.
Yeah.
If you got stuck in an eternal loop doing one thing over and over and over again,
easiest question.
What do you want that one thing to be that you can say on air?
Watching the Eagles win a Super Bowl. Just
okay.
Just put that on, and not the Super Bowl they won in 2017. Just an eternal loop of watching them win the Super Bowl. Yeah, absolutely. Like
that's a good one.
That's going to be it. Yeah, that's going to be it. Yeah, sure.
All right. If someone told you they saw you arguing with a stranger on the street, what would they immediately assume you were arguing about?
If somebody said they saw me arguing on the street, what would they assume we were arguing about? That person said something reckless to me. Because I don't really trifle with people talking to me like they're crazy. Like I am Birdie's baby. Like that is not okay. You're gonna watch your mouth. It just is so. I'm not gonna argue with you about sports. I'm not gonna argue with you about does God exist. But if you say something disrespectful or sideways, that will be addressed. Disrespect will not be tolerated. That will be addressed immediately. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're planning a barbecue or a cookout. You can add 3 songs to the playlist. 3. I know you kind of just did this on the 3 songs. So it has to appeal to a crowd.
It's a cookout. It's not a barbecue.
Yeah. Okay. Cookout.
It's cookout. All right.
Cookout. It's cookout. What are you adding? What 3 songs? We do this all the time.
I know. It's cookout.
What 3 songs are you adding and why?
Okay, I am adding September by Earth, Wind, and Fire because everybody likes that song. It's great.
Yep.
Don't Stop Till You Get Enough by Michael Jackson.
Okay.
And Juicy by Biggie Smalls. Okay. We are rocking. We are killing this thing. The reason I'm adding September, everybody likes that song. It's a lighthearted, fun song. You got to have some Michael Jackson because Michael Jackson, I would say, is the one artist that race doesn't matter. Everybody likes Michael Jackson. Like, I'm serious. I've never met a person that doesn't like his music. I'm not saying that people don't exist. That there's some people that exist that don't like his music, or maybe not know his music. But yeah, and then I mean, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. It's Biggie, man. Like you can't because it's Biggie. I don't have to explain that one. It's Biggie.
Those are good ones. It'd be a fun cookout.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, lightning round.
Okay.
Nicknames you have.
One will not be said on this podcast because ain't nobody calling me that but family. So all of them can go to hell. How about that? Mm-hmm. Revy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's all a play on my last name. The reason is because, and some people will do this just because I hate it. I don't like being called Tim, and people don't like calling me Timothy. My name is not Tim. It never has been. It never will be. My name is Timothy. So if you want to call me Timothy, great. If you want to shorten something, I don't know why. I just have a quirk. You can shorten my last name. Revy, something like that. But the name that the family calls me, nope, not on this podcast. Not happening.
What's the most recent thing you listened to? Doesn't have to be a song, anything. What's the most recent thing you listened to?
Oh, a podcast. Was it yeah, it was a podcast. Well, I'll give you a couple things because it was all today. I listened to 2 sermons, one by TD Jakes, and one by Darius Daniels, and then I listened to an Eagles podcast on the bus home from work. Yeah, it's always, I rarely listen to music. It's mostly podcast.
Okay. Favorite gas station snacks?
Twizzlers.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, hey, let's stop playing.
Best Netflix recommendation. I also want to see how many of these I get right. I'm doing okay so far.
Oh, best Netflix recommendation. Like of all of Netflix,
Of all of Netflix, the whole of Netflix.
Good.
Right now, what would you recommend?
Okay. Well, I caveat. Is it on Netflix or made by Netflix?
However you would like to define
Jesus.
that.
Oh, Christ almighty. Christ almighty. I don't, see, all right, gotta be a drug show, of course. Like somebody gotta be in here selling drugs or doing something. Ozark. I'll just say Ozark, even though it's not fair, like, because I can't think of all of Netflix. Like, that is crazy. All of Netflix.
Okay. I would not have picked Ozark.
We all finished Netflix during COVID, right? Like that was the thing that was going around. I finished Netflix, right? Because there's nothing else. What would you have chosen for me?
I don't know that I had a specific show, but I know ones that you have recommended, at least that you're like, you have to watch this. And then you ask again, have you watched this yet? Have you watched this yet? You need to watch this. There are a couple of them.
Oh, okay. I can't think of those as of now.
One's a movie you watched recently where you're like, I'm just going to tell you the end. If you're not going to watch it, I'm just going to tell you the end. Recently, I don't even know what the name of it was.
Okay.
Favorite Bible verse?
For we know that all things work together for the good for those who love the Lord and are called to his purpose. That is Romans 8:28. Hey, you might as well write that right here on top of my forehead. Absolutely. That is great. Yes.
Stay in or go out?
Stay in. Outside? Why would you do that? Why would you go outside? That's weird.
Pizza or wings?
Wings. Hey, dry rub wings. Don't they come with that wet sauce? See? No, dry rub. Louisiana dry rub from Wingstop. That is the best wing on earth. Yes.
All right. And that beats Jet's Pizza.
Jet's Pizza, whatever you said, I didn't even hear it, but Jet's Pizza.
I said, and that beats Jet's Pizza.
No, Jet's Pizza wins over.
Okay.
So it's wings unless it's Jet's. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Delicious.
Place where you'd love to live.
San Diego. Yeah, San Diego. But I mean, can anybody afford that? Like, good Lord, it is crazy. All right, go ahead. I mean, somebody can clearly, but yeah, San Diego's beautiful.
Foods you will not eat.
White sauce. Anything white. I'm not eating it. I'm just no. I don't even like white bread. It's just no. Nope.
Yep. What's one other thing I should have asked you today, but I didn't?
Wow. I'm doing all this education stuff. What do I want to do? Like for what purpose? What do I want to do ultimately? And to answer that, it would be, I would love to open my own school. And because I want to change education, not like people say, they have these reverse schools, reverse education, where you're learning things at home and then you go to school to do the homework. That's not it. I want to teach life skills in school, less content, more skills. Because when somebody has the skills, they sort of find the content on their own. Like if you think about that, we take all these classes and then we don't use them. Then we go out and we sort of teach ourselves what we want to know. But I want to create a school where kids, when they leave the school, they have X amount of hours in a physical skill, as well as a foreign language, as well as, of course, their education, because I want to make people always employable. I want to make a bunch of entrepreneurs. So for example, if we have a kid who likes auto mechanic work, I want to send that kid to intern at auto mechanic shops while that kid is in middle school and high school. Because when they leave, now they have, let's say, 150 or 200 hours of experience, and something can go wrong in that kid's life. They could, God forbid, something terrible happen. They can't find a job. Well, they can be a shade tree mechanic. right? I've made that kid, or I've helped that, I didn't make it, but I've helped that kid always be employable, things like that. So that's something you should have asked me, that because that's important to me. It's about that education piece.
It's big goals. It's exciting.
Yes, big things.
All right. What's one thing that you hope people take away from listening to the REVELSations podcast generally?
In general, that I am a challenger of self. I'm always trying to get better. And through these conversations and the vulnerability I have of my shortcomings and my pitfalls, will help other people be vulnerable and stop being fake and I'm great and I'm this and I'm that. No, we're not. We can be, but have you done the work to be great? I think we have a lot of imposters in the world. And you can get over imposter syndrome if you just admit that you have some shortcomings and vulnerabilities, but that's okay. You're still good enough to be in the room. And stop holding people to these crazy standards. And the REVELSations podcast, I'm okay to show my warts. I'm okay to show I'm cool with showing my shortcomings. And because in these shortcomings, I grow. And this is all about growth. That's what the whole podcast is about, education. When I say education, I'm not talking about 2 + 2 is 4. I'm just talking about educating in life, and just growth, having a growth mindset. But in order to grow, you have to admit that you're not where you need to be. And that's what the REVELSations podcast is about. I've done episodes on, challenging my self-beliefs. I interviewed a lady who's in her 70s, who's in my doctoral program. I've had people change my mind about gun reform in schools, all of these type of things. So it's always challenging myself. And I just hope other people challenge themselves to become better.
Great. Well, when you start releasing merch, I think you've got Confident as Mayo, Sports are my friend.
Yes.
Words are just sounds.
Yes.
So I'm buying all the t-shirts when they're ready.
Yes. Words are just sounds. They're great. They're great. Fantastic. This has been fun. It
has been fun.
Yeah, I didn't know. I honestly was not prepped for any of these questions, but I appreciate you. You threw some softballs at me, but then you got some deep things. I'm happy you transitioned. I think you could tell. We were talking about the losses. You showed a transition from away from there, because I'll still get teary-eyed in a minute. Those are my people, man. I imagine them looking on high, and I just want them to be proud. I just want my dad to say that he's proud of me. That's a big thing, so I appreciate this. And this is a way that I can get out those ideas that I have. And hopefully people know me a little bit better here, and I'm a human being and I'm vulnerable and I'm okay with being vulnerable. My vulnerability doesn't make me weak, and your vulnerability does not make you weak. So thank you everybody for listening to the REVELSations podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. You can contact me directly at revelationspodcast@gmail.com. Contact me on all the social media platforms at the REVELSations podcast. I do not run that, but I have people that do, and they will get back to me and let me know if you've asked me a question, and I will answer that directly. So let's get this thing, share it with some other people that you love, and let's be a little bit more vulnerable. And now I'm going to ask you a question before we get out of here. I'm going to ask, when you coming on? Come on now. We got to get you on. Either this one or Black Lives Matter. So hold you to
we just need the right topic, and I'll come on.
I gave you the topic on Black Lives Matter. It's the greatest topic ever for you.
Yeah, you tell me when. That one I'll do. You tell me when.
Okay.
I would love to come on and join you.
Okay. We'll jump over to the Black Lives Matter podcast as soon as Mac stops canceling all the time that we have to record. Those things come to you in far between. That is not on Rev. That is on Mac, 100%. That is my friend. He is garbage. He his most. So I'm Mr. Consistency. He is not that. That is not his that is not his jam. But I love that dude. That's my buddy. But again, everybody, thank you for checking this out. And we'll be back next time with another verse of the REVELSations podcast. How'd you guys next time? I am because we are. Peace.